I've got a brand.
Literally, we go live, and you say, "How are we getting the music?"
Well,
right now?
I mean, you like to interrupt me while I try to do the intro, so
No,
this is
it's good. It's good.
Mhm.
I approve.
Do you think they're going to be mad Roman's not here?
Probably. We should probably like brace ourselves.
Yeah.
Hey,
You got it. You're a quick thinker.
your thinker.
Oh.
Wait, this is the soundtrack for when Roman's here.
Yeah, this is the Roman theme.
Do we? Okay.
Dang it.
Well, I think it's too late. I got it.
It's much more of a dirge without Roman.
You have fruit flies in your house? My house is full of fruit flies right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. I just lived with you in an Airbnb for a while.
You know what I do with watermelons?
Yeah, I do. Hey,
it's us.
We're us. Back. We're little on this. Hey,
there it is. That's what I was looking for.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to the Comics Place presents a perfectly acceptable podcast. A very special episode 399.
That is so many.
399.
No,
with Jeff and Django.
Yep, I'm Django.
It was Raiders of the Lost Ark thing. I'm Jeff. Hey, everybody. Welcome in. Jeff and Django back from San Diego Comic-Con and a pretty huge move of comic stores. You might be asking yourself, has Jeff's hair always been that purple? No, I dyed it before we went to San Diego, but you might be also asking yourself, aren't they missing someone? And the answer to that, my friends, dear listeners and viewers, is that we are, in fact, missing Roman Statler, the longest leg of this three-legged stool.
Yep, that's him, the thickest leg.
Right. It's a muscular leg for Roman.
It's from all the running. He runs a lot.
So let's talk about this. We're streaming live on Facebook, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we are live on Facebook.
Anybody listening to the audio of this in the audio podcast format through which you've become accustomed, you could also watch this live on Facebook when we record it. It's usually Saturday-ish, plus or minus a day. And
also on YouTube.
And then afterwards, it's saved on YouTube. So if you don't like a strict schedule like Django and I, you can find it on YouTube. We tagged a bunch of our comic book friends out there. We got to spend some time with comic book friends this week. But I think, Django, before we get into that, we should check in with one of our dearest friends.
Oh, that's called a tease. You're a tease, Jeffrey.
You know it.
Hello and happy episode number 399, my friends. Is that number right? Is 400 next week? What are you guys doing about it? You just doing another show?
Is it?
Probably. Anyway, I'm excited for that. Hey, I know you guys just got back from Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, and you're probably talking about that a whole lot. But I know there's some pretty interesting crossovers in the works, like Batman and Deadpool and some other Marvel DC stuff. I'm curious, is that something you guys are excited about? What is your kind of ultimate dream comics crossover? DC, Marvel, Image, anything you want. What's in the crossover that you guys would love to see? Have I asked this question before? I feel like, if I've asked this question before? Probably to all of those things. I don't care. Turn up.
For the new listeners.
Love you guys. Awesome.
To the new listeners, that's our friend Will Elmer. He's a weekly contributor to this podcast. He sends a voicemail, a voice memo attached in an email to our email address for the podcast, which is jeff@thecomicsplace.com. And you also could follow suit and do that as we are doing these live video streams and continuing to have the audio saved in the podcast feeds. We love getting input from people. So please, by all means, send us a written email or a voice recorded memo to the email address jeff@thecomicsplace.com. Although next week's 400, and I probably shouldn't even have said that email stuff because Django's going to be unveiling the new email address next week.
I highly doubt that, buddy.
Okay.
This is the no but episode, right?
Yeah. No buts allowed. Crossovers. There are some exciting crossover things happening. Django, when they first announced that, or maybe when they announced Deadpool or Batman, you were like, that's fine, but why don't they release a Jeff the Land Shark and Ace the Bat Hound and you'd just be printing money for all of us? and they're putting out Ace the Bat, or no, they're putting out Jeff the Landshark and
Crypto.
Okay, that's pretty good.
So I'm not 100% sure on how those are going to work. I feel like what I understand is that they're backups for the Batman Deadpool, but I might be totally wrong. Like
The
backup
animal woman?
stories. Like, yeah, well, I don't know.
Okay.
I've been
Okay.
sick since we got back from San Diego, so I haven't really dove into all the information. But there were a lot of crossovers that I felt like were secondary stories in that main one.
Okay. Well, that could make sense
Hope it's a whole
because
issue.
yeah, I do too. Because that would sell more than any of them.
Mhm.
But I could also see if they're like $7.99 or $8.99 issues, having like pretty chunky things where there is a substantial backup in it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about that stuff. We got to speak with Nancy at DC, Nancy Spears.
Mhm.
And
Some
yeah,
of
she
that we
mentioned-
can't talk about, though.
Well, I was just gonna say she just mentioned that like in the past it's maybe been hard for Marvel and DC to like get in step with doing a crossover like this, but it just seemed like she was like, yeah, Marvel was just totally on board. It was very easy. Which it's cool that that's where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that they're doing this, and I hope this means that they do more, because like those two both are knocking it out of the park with sales for everybody.
They
Yeah.
are.
Add more is, I like it.
But while in the last week they have announced that like issue 24 is going to be the end of Ultimate Spider-Man. Sounds like all the Ultimate books are ending at that point, which I'm sure that they just haven't announced what the next wave of Ultimate things are going to be. But, you know, there's an amount of me that's like, okay, why end these books all together that are probably your highest selling books right now?
Well, I think probably it'll be a creative change, and it's going to be a paradigm shift, right? Because at number 24, the Maker's out of prison, or is it even
Yeah.
before that?
It's a good question.
I think he gets out at 24, so who knows what they'll do. But my guess would be, you know, doing a thing with the Maker getting out and then just starting everything over at number 1 again with new
Yeah.
creative teams.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the question.
No, the question was crossovers that we'd like to see, and I've got a very special one true to myself, and I think that will be
Oh.
appreciated by William Elmer.
Is it the character Grant Morrison from Animal Man meeting with Frank
like
Quietly
this.
illustrated Robin from Batman and Robin?
Oh, no.
Right
I
after
was
he
going to
dies
say,
in the afterlife.
ooh, I was going to say a crossover between Shrinking and Ted Lasso.
Mm.
Be pretty good, right?
Are there any human? Oh, there are human crossovers.
Yeah.
So they'd need like some Superman glasses for what's his name? Sweary guy.
How'd you feel about that introduction to in the new Superman movie that like he's wearing glasses that like bends other people's perception of him?
I got to go see the Superman movie, because every time somebody asks me what I thought of a part of it, I can't remember it. I liked it. It just fell out of my brain the second I left the theater.
I liked it a lot, and I'm having a similar thing, especially like Fantastic Four has come out as well. I don't know. I'd be interested in like the movie exec folks telling me like, is that good for your movie business or is that bad? Like, do they cannibalize each other's sales, or does it make people very excited for a month of the movies? Or
I don't know. Ask Barbie and Oppenheimer. I would like to see a crossover with Shadow Man from Valiant
and the Shadow.
No, probably not the Shadow. Probably like Batman, or like something in a major Marvel or DC series.
Resurrection Man.
Resurrection Man would be all right.
Ragman.
Man, you and Ragman.
Django and I were on a panel at San Diego, and I don't remember how, but I think I was trying to answer like in a metaphorical way, and I referred to like myself as feeling like Ragman because of like he's got a bunch of personalities in his cloak, and like people on the panel were like, I think that's Moon Knight. Like, what are you talking about? And then a person in the crowd was like, no, that's Ragman. And I was like, thank you. Also,
thank you, Roman in disguise.
Yeah, why do I know that? Probably Roman. Crossovers are a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love crossovers. And I think Valiant could use more of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were talking about it at the convention, but we are approaching a fair amount of the original wave of DC characters approaching the Creative Commons time frame where they could be used openly, right? And so I was like, we're gonna see some crazy stuff. And then Django very intelligent was like, yeah, but it'll probably only be like, it's not just gonna be Batman, it's gonna be like Batman in the costume of the original Batman comics with that specific Batmobile
And a gun.
and a gun, you
You're
know,
gonna
that
kill
kind of
people.
thing. But it's going to be very interesting to be at that. We could get a really good Batman Sherlock Holmes crossover.
Thanks for the question, Will.
Thanks, Will. And anybody else, send your emails in. We'll answer them on the show.
I super jumped the gun changing this layout here. I changed it so we could talk a little bit about San Diego.
I love it. Well, here we are, San Diego.
Well, we were on a panel together.
Hey, we were.
With those people.
Look at you running the slideshow, Django. You look like you're gonna eat somebody there.
Yeah, I was pretty hungry.
I eat people. I want to shake your hand.
I want to shake your hand.
Yeah, we were at San Diego. Adam Freeman, the wonderful man in the Hawaiian-looking shirt with the hat on there, organized a panel that he invited Django and I to be on. The other two photo people there are Morgan Perry and our good friend Django.
Moni, and I can't remember her last name.
Well,
dang it.
Superstar librarian.
Badass.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And that panel was at 6:30. And we needed to be at the Eisner's because they stopped serving food at 7:30. And the panel ran 45 to 50 minutes. So Django and I, for our point of sale business, got to sponsor the Eisner's, which was very, very fun. And what that means is that we got to have a table of 10 folks, including ourselves, come to the Eisner's with us, and you get a very fancy dinner, and you're all dressed up and cocktails and stuff. So that was exciting for us. But we had this panel, so we had to. And I can't stress enough how opposing the ends of this large convention our panel was and where the Eisner's are. But we got out of there and we got our food, and then we got to go to the Eisner's, and that was a wonderful time. Shout out Dan Brooks for being there. Shout out Mike and Marcel from Blurred's Underground. Jen King, like so many folks.
Marshall Dillon was there.
Oh my God, Marshall from Udon. What a wonderful guy. Django, what was what San Diego? We stayed in an Airbnb together. We were really busy. People were like, did you have fun? I think we had a lot of fun, but we did not have much downtime.
No, it was very busy. Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite parts was just all the people we ran into, all the industry folks that we got to hang out with. Yeah, I mean, it was nonstop from when we woke up until when we went to bed. It was super nice this year to be kind of in the heart of San Diego. So we were only about 6 blocks. Well, I guess the heart of San Diego Comic-Con. We didn't get too far from our Airbnb, but we were only 6 blocks from the con, which meant that we didn't have to take a 25-minute Uber to get back and forth and change shirts and stuff. So that was super fun. And we had a third leg to our duo, Dan Brooks, with us, which is always awesome.
Our lead developer, Dan Brooks, who is also at Comics Pro with us and has just become rapidly one of my favorite people on earth. Love that man so much. Yeah, I continued my tradition that I started last year of dipping out of the San Diego convention scene area and going out to a movie theater alone to watch a big Marvel movie release on Thursday in a sold-out theater with a ton of other San Diego Comic-Con people who were super pumped to be there on opening day. And that is so much fun. It really reminds me of like going to see the Marvel movies, like when Avengers 1 came out and Endgame, and it's just like filled with people who are super, super excited because it's convention and it's Fantastic Four, which I imagine we'll probably talk a little bit about Fantastic Four at the end. Save that in case spoilers come up. You've got that nice little banner that says spoilers, Fantastic Four spoilers, that will be on the video while we're talking about it.
Totally, bro. We took some pictures.
Yeah, we took some pictures. Django's doing a great job. Oh, that's Mike and Marcel, everybody. Man, as we're doing our live streams, this is becoming progressively worse and worse for the audio show. But
that's true. That's true. Well, this is just a plug for the live show.
Yeah, like, subscribe, comment, follow. What is it they say? But yeah,
smash that follow button.
We got to go to a fancy dinner party for a company called Ignition. This photo right here is from that Ignition Press event. And as soon as we got there, I awkwardly went into the bathroom and stumbled upon a comic book writer throwing up because he had choked on a very spicy pepper. And so I went and got him some water, and then he went into the stall and like cleaned up his vomit from the sink. That was really quite good.
You're so good at making friends.
Yeah, I guess. I like the people. So yeah, that was fun. That Ignition Press night was a lot of fun. And in classic Jeff and Django fashion, I was like, all right, I'm gonna leave at a certain time. And Django managed to like keep me there for an extra hour to an hour and a half. But yeah, it was San Diego Comic-Con. It was real good. The Airbnb was a lot of fun though, and I listened to Nas the whole time. Just listened to Nas everywhere I was walking around. It was great.
I got a shadow commission. Dustin Nguyen.
Yeah.
And not to do a callback, but in the comments, my friend Susan says, I'm sure Django's hoping for a Sandman and the Shadow crossover. So my Shadow thing goes back before you, Jeff. This is old. Yeah. Everybody knows.
And we all know you're a big Sandman guy too.
That's true.
Just a big fan of the work.
Big fan.
Oh, had a good Leo Williams interaction. Okay, that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about the Ding Dang comic books that came out this week, everybody. And hey, Django. So heads up to everybody. Like I said, 2 weeks ago, we were doing the move, getting out of our old space into our main HQ space. Django and I were at the shop like all day, every day. So I hadn't made a huge dent on my stack from that 2 weeks ago, because then we went to San Diego, missed another week of comic books, and then got back from San Diego. There's another week of comic books. I got like 2.5 weeks of comic books.
So many comics.
But what that means, Django, is that I got to settle down at the campground. You know what I'm saying?
I got to eat and read.
Assorted Crisis Events. Absolute Martian Manhunter. I got a triple campground session where it was just me and Dennis roasting marshmallows at the camp.
I get it.
Yeah, you get it.
I'm with you. Yeah.
The camp corner.
Yeah, that's a nice week, nice campground, bro.
Yes, it was. So this week, we saw the release of Assorted Crisis Events number 5, Ask Cry Eve, as we've all come to refer to it. And as I was saying to Django before we got on here, if Assorted Crisis Events or Ask Cry Eve is too laborious to say, we can always just abbreviate it to Ask Creve. And he said, well, we only have to worry about that for this week because it's over. And Django,
I'm sorry,
I think you can tell the folks that broke my heart because I did not realize this was the final issue of this miniseries.
Yeah, I would love to get a sequel to this.
Yeah.
I feel like this book has had the same feeling for me as the first handful of issues of Ice Cream Man. And I don't know what it was that got Ice Cream Man to continue. I don't think that they intended to keep going, but this feels like it could be a similar study on a bummer every single time. And I'm pretty sure that there's a reference to that Grant Morrison book at the very end.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah.
Well, I think that Dennis Camp is a big Grant Morrison fan. I feel like they've peppered references into different things. So yeah, Django, I totally agree. This has that same kind of feeling as Ice Cream Man, especially like that. I mean, every issue of Ice Cream Man is pretty incredible, but there was a real momentum for the first like 12 or 16. This miniseries will be one of my favorites of the last couple of years. As I was finishing this issue, I was like, man, the first issue was pretty good, but it was the weakest of all 5. And since like 2 through 5 have just been solid 10s for me.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they've all been so good.
Yeah. This issue is again playing with this, like what is this mini series? It's sort of a series of one-shots that are all kind of dealing with a human experience at the edge of kind of realities, maybe kind of crumbling, or our ability to comprehend our own reality. They're very different from issue to issue, but all have this sort of melancholic, broken feeling to them. Yeah. And this issue is just this wonderful kind of exploration of inherited trauma, like generational trauma as it's passed down. It's got bits about how when parents do things in front of kids, there are little moments to the parents, but there's these things that kids remember forever. All of that is sort of expressed through this young girl who has gotten older, but when she was 13, she witnessed her dad beating her mother and lived a 60-second loop of that moment happening like for 1,000,000 years, and then somehow came out of the loop and was returned to time. So this whole issue is her trying to convey that and trying to find support in this world for what has happened to her, but nobody really believes her. And like, it's literally happening in this issue, but it's this very well conveyed metaphor that I think we can all relate to, with like dwelling on certain memories or the cycles that addiction or habits can form within us. But this, good God, so much my favorite type of thing.
And like illustrated and shown using comic book trickery that you can't do in any other medium.
Yep.
Like no other media can do a circle of repeating patterns like this, or like the pages kind of start and end in an amorphous place, which usually makes me crazy. Like you get this page with one panel in the center and then panels going along the outside, and you read it in an order that you don't normally read comics. And even when you do it wrong, it's okay because of the way that the dialogue is structured. You can go around in the same circles that she went around in.
That's one of the aspects of this issue that is like truly impressive, because there's several pages in that kind of cyclical layout like that where you could start at any number of the balloons and it kind of continues back through the beginning and naturally in its language does that. And Django, it took me like 2/3 of the issue to realize that almost all the pages, the flow of text bubbles were a circle, which defies the top left to bottom right flow that all comics exist within. And there are times within here where it could function that way, but it's still supposed to be spiraling.
Yeah. And that's kind of the brilliance in it. Like, I don't know, it almost felt like when a speed reader looks at a sentence, they just grab the important bits and kind of ingest that. And it felt like that to me. Like, here's some information. It doesn't matter which order you take it in. You just like take this information and run with it.
Yeah, there was a point in it where I was like, oh, I don't really even need to be worried about where I'm starting or if I'm doing it right or wrong.
And there's like, somehow Dennis Camp took some of my least favorite things about comics, which is
Mobius strip.
I thought this was a cool Mobius strip.
I love Mobius strips.
I enjoyed this Mobius strip set of pages. And also the I'm not a big fan of having to turn a comic upside down to read it.
I agree.
And this was totally fine. Like,
and I don't know why, but I had that same thought. I was like, I'm twisting this and I enjoy it. And it just elevated it, kind of like that Batman issue by Scott Snyder, like number 6, where you like have to twist it in the owls and stuff. But this was done even better than that.
House of Leaves kind of this book is interactive, sort of like House of Leaves, where you're just physically interacting with something you're supposed to just look at normally.
Which he's employed in a variety of ways. He did it in Absolute Martian Manhunter as well. Dennis Camp did. So I love where his head is generating stories and comic books from. And again, he's only come onto my radar in the last year or so, and he has become my favorite person telling stories in comics right now. So to get to hang out at the campground with Dennis this week was real nice. I saved all of them to read together.
Nice. Did you catch the 3 references to movies with time displaced people?
No.
When she's doing her murder board of time displaced people, there's Groundhog Day, and Russian Doll and Palm Springs are all
nice.
represented
I forgot about
there.
Palm Springs.
Yeah,
that was good. And then there's the page that Django referenced, which is maybe it could seem like not overtly a reference to the Grant Morrison Frank Quitely issue Pax Americana, but it's got the birds flowing in a similar way, and like it's again the time cyclical nature of it, using this bridge as above so below. I think it's a throwback to that for sure.
Yeah, it's got to be. I guess the only other thing I would say about this is, A, everybody should read it, but B, I want more of the lore and I want more issues. I want to know more about this guy with the jetpack.
Yeah.
I want more unsettling and sad stories about time displacement. And I hope that this book at least gets some like legs with the collection. You know, one of my favorite time sort of stories that I've read was the Displaced Persons book that Image put out a long time ago. It's a weird shape. It's always been kind of hard for us to sell. I think it's out of print, but it does similar interesting comic book storytelling with time displacement that this series has done. And I just want all of these kinds of time things to be friends.
10 out of 10 for me. So sad it's the end of this story. Series gets a 10, and it will be a thing that I give a lot of people as a gift.
Yep. 10 out of 10 for
Gooey
me
Duck?
too.
Okay,
Double
hell
Gooey.
yeah.
And I forgot to upload the Gooey Duck picture. I'm really
That's
sorry,
all right.
everybody.
Hey, Django.
Roman's not here.
We're going to be quick about this one because we hung out at the campground longer than I meant to, but this one deserves to be shorter because it was collected and put out in an anthology horror book called Hello Darkness. And Django had told me about the story, the very first issue when it came out. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And then I totally forgot about it. Turns out they decided to start putting this out in issues. It's called The War. It's by Garth Ennis and Becky Cloonan with colors by Tamara Bonvillain. This first issue is the first 3 or 4 chapters as they were put out in Hello Darkness. I was stunned by how fantastic and dreadful this comic book was. And I texted Django about it, and he reminded me like, oh yeah, that came out. That was good. So interesting on a publication exploration to do this. How do you feel about that?
I think it's not appropriate for most of the stories that those guys are putting into Hello Darkness. But I think that this one, it makes sense. Obviously, they're probably going to milk it into, because this is going to be 2 issues. They're probably going to milk it into one combined Fat Boy issue.
So is it only like 6 chapters long? Like 6 of those small chapters long? Like you think
it might be 8. I don't know. Let's see. The War.
I hope it's at least 3 issues this size long, because so when Django had mentioned like, all right, yeah, they're putting it out, it was in this anthology, I was like, I don't know, that's kind of dumb, but also I guess I wasn't going to read it otherwise. So
yeah,
I'm sure glad that they did it. Becky Cloonan's art is really great. She does wonderful like facial expressions. And then Garth Ennis is just a master of writing people that seem like whole people, like have the opinions and the problems and, you know, the tendencies, like all of the things that people have as whole people. And what I was super impressed with in this is, so what this is it's you're hanging out with a group of people right before seemingly like World War III, like end of the world style nuclear war. And
it's like New York hipsters talking about what they would do in the circumstance of a nuclear attack.
Yeah. And it's so
kind of virtue signaling and
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. You're great. But what is amazing is you kind of fall into the beginning of this issue just in the midst of a conversation between all these friends. And by the end of that conversation, just a number of pages into the issue, you have a very rich understanding of a lot of different characters and their motivations.
Yeah.
And what I loved is that it's not until the end of this issue that any bombs get dropped, literally or metaphorically. And because of that, there's this sense of dread throughout the whole thing and existential unrest of just what is the point, you know? And what was that awesome show that I recommended to you with the bunker beneath it?
Oh yeah. I can't remember the name of the show I watched.
Did you finish that show?
Are you nuts? Yeah, I finished it. It was good. It was like,
is Sterling K. Brown the main guy in that?
Man,
anyway, so
in one eye and out the other, like everything else.
Just these.
It was good.
yeah, people trying to get on airplanes to escape, incoming blasts. But Garth Ennis, again, Dread, Doom. This is, closer to Crossed than it is to that book you just loved, Babs. But he has the ability to be very funny and then very disgusting as well. So anyway, this is technically a reprint, but I would highly recommend people check it out. It is very cool. I hope that it is long enough to like make a paperback out of.
I think it's 2 issues like this.
Okay.
Just judging on the number 2 description, but it could be 3.
More of this greasy angst in my life.
Yeah, I like that. Like normally, Garth Ennis frames all of his like multi-character conversations around getting a pint at the pub, but this was just a bunch of hipsters in a living room.
Yeah,
same thing.
Yeah,
just a slightly quieter situation, I guess.
And very like, a lot of writers get older, and when they try to write young people, it maybe doesn't feel as fluent. But like, Garth Ennis does seem to have done a pretty good job of capturing the voices of people 30 years younger than him, or 40 years younger than him. I give it a 9.5.
9.5. I gave it an 8.5. I might give it a 9.5 if I had just sat down and read it all. This was the amazing thing about that anthology series that's still going, by the way. Hello Darkness from Boom is that, I sit down with a horror anthology and I'm like, yeah, I'll read these. It's probably going to be pretty good. There's going to be some good stuff and there's going to be some bad stuff. But this series, just every issue has 3 out of the 4 stories are really, really good. And this kind of good for most of them. It's wild.
Yeah, crazy that book, Hello Darkness, came out the same week as the first of the EC reprint anthologies, not reprints, but reboot anthologies.
And they both of them have been cranking out great anthology stuff in very different tones. That's the other crazy thing to me is that Hello Darkness doesn't feel like the EC books. They're very different, even though if you describe them to your mother, they sound like the same thing, right?
Ma'am. Django, take me somewhere nice. Buy me something nice.
This might have fit better right next to Assorted Crisis Events number 5, but
Ascrieve?
I think we should talk about the Terminator number 9, buddy.
Okay, that's a great cover.
Time travel.
Yeah, let's talk about Terminator number 9, a time travel story. So we have famously, I can only imagine, been like weirdly enthusiastic about this series up until this point. A Dynamite book being written by Declan Shalvey, which, Django will be the first to tell you, Declan Shalvey spins a good time travel yarn, or weaves a good yarn. Paradise. Oh,
Paradise is the show.
Underground. Exactly. Yes, I loved that show, and the war had like elements of that I dug quite a bit. Django, Terminator number 9.
Yeah,
I don't know. We have kind of had to do the thing with all the issues where they're kind of confusing as you go through it, and then it kind of clicks by the end. And this is one that even after I finished it, I kind of went through it again. I was like, why was it structured this way? So, Django, can you crack the code on this for me, big guy?
Yeah. So I think, and listen, anybody could correct me, but I think that what we are supposed to get out of it is that the Terminators sent somebody back so far in time that they could get a job at Cyberdyne as a security guard. And so the beginning of the story, we don't really realize that this dude who's a security guard is a Terminator. But like we watch the Terminator blend in with modern society for months and months and months, maybe even years before he is activated when the revolutionaries try to attack Cyberdyne. And then he just kills a bunch of people. And then it's the end of the world. Like, one of the things I like about Terminator is that this is a critical point in time. This is like an event that's going to happen. And they keep sending people back. But the Terminators can't kill John Connor, and the people can't stop the war. Right? So like those things, I don't think that they can really change that. Maybe in the future stories we'll get something. So, once we hit, what is it, 2039 or whatever, whenever it is, they'll have to change it. But yeah, I think the misdirection here was just that this dude is not acting like a normal Terminator. And it's not, the story's not structured like that, but like just watching him sit at home and watch TV waiting for an attack for months and months and months and months is interesting.
Yeah, I guess that was the thing that was it is paced kind of unorthodoxly, doctedly, but it makes sense. I think when you're dealing with stories that are so rooted in time travel, like this one keeps kind of, there's the main narrative of kind of the final day where this Terminator is working at this job, but every couple of pages it splices back to sort of show the repetition through his life of working at this job, kind of waiting for this moment. And I don't know that served the story in terms of making it clear. But I think time travel stories, that's like the best opportunity to get to experiment with that stuff. And I think you kind of have to. So like, I'm dumb.
What I got out of it is that, and this could just totally be me layering things on, because I don't think it's structured in a way to make you feel like this. But what struck me is that in most stories like this, the robot would have some sort of change of heart. And it'd be like, oh yeah, humans aren't so bad. And he would have like a flicker of emotion at some point, blending in with society. But this guy just fucking doesn't. He just goes on the attack and starts killing people. And I don't know, man. I don't understand these books. They all take so much work to figure out, and it's pretty rewarding. It's super weird to me that it's made it to 9 issues, because they're very opaque and very weird and very good, I'm pretty sure.
I would say up until this point, one of the hangups for us has been that the art is kind of confusing. It's a little bit muddled or not super clear. This issue had a new artist on it, and I really liked their art. There was like almost aspects that kind of reminded me a little bit of Gabriel Hernandez from Lock and Key, and then also a little bit of even like Trad Moore without the crazy flourishes. But I kept thinking that it was like almost like we were seeing a different robot come back, and we were stuck in kind of like a time cycle, because one of the more recent issues was sort of showing continued attempts at going back.
Yeah.
And that is not what's happening in this, but that's what my brain was trying to put together. But anyway, it was bottom half of the series for me so far, but I did like the artist change, and I continue to really enjoy this series, and it's usually one of the first books I read each week.
Yeah, I give it a 7.5.
I have a very long list of comics here, Django, but I gave it a 7.
Give it to us. 7.
Yep, gave it.
Yeah,
right there.
Good comic. They pulled it off somehow.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Django, are you reading news from the Fallout? Everybody's favorite guy, Chris Condon.
I'm not. I think I was out of town when the first one came out, and we don't have a number 1 anymore. So, but I flipped through number 2, and it looks awesome. Like mostly silhouettes from Jeffrey Allen Love. And
are you familiar with Jeffrey Allen Love?
No, not at all.
So
should I be?
I wasn't familiar with him either. But in looking at the end of this, it does look like he has some previous bodies of work that maybe have a very similar art style.
Cool.
Django, I think that you would like this book, maybe more than I even like this book. And I don't dislike it at all, but it does seem like it is very atmospheric. Like you said, the art is very, very stark. It's mostly black, white, and gray. And it follows like somebody who just got out of a nuclear testing area, and the higher ups were like kind of changed the coordinates at the last minute, because it seems like they want to study how fallout affects people. And it's turning people into monsters. So this guy runs to a bar and has to convince everybody that like there's monsters coming, and they don't necessarily believe him, Django. But by the end of this, I think they've got a pretty good reason to believe that there's monsters, radioactive monsters out there. I think that the most interesting part of it is the art, because it is so stark and unlike most comic book art. And anytime that something has that like independent or unique of a voice, I admire the courage to do that sort of singular vision.
Yeah.
And Chris Condon did that Texas Blood, and what else is he doing right now? He's got a handful of things.
He's done a handful of things. The crazy thing to me is like I just listened to an interview with him on another podcast, Off Panel with David Harper, and Chris Condon didn't do much before that.
Yeah, I
just sort of showed up. I didn't watch the podcast, so I don't know. Okay. Let's say yeah, why not?
Just putting him as sort of with Jacob Phillips, like for whatever reason, a contemporary of Jacob Phillips, who's Sean Phillips' son.
Yeah.
And didn't they do that Texas Blood together?
Yeah,
Okay.
and like I've enjoyed all the stuff that I've read from Chris Condon. Like I think he's a really good, interesting creator.
Yeah. It's kind of like a nuclear vampire sort of horror story. So there's
Yeah.
nothing revolutionary going on right there, but I do think that the art is kind of a spectacle and unlike anything and is a fun ride to go on. So if you got a disposable $4 to throw out at something that is a very new tone, I would recommend News from the Fallout. I gave number 2 a 7.5 on the Richter scale.
Nice. It
Yes.
that book, when I flip through it, and I don't think that this is true, but when I flip through it, it makes me think of the news,
Nightly News.
the nightly news from Hickman. Something about
Yeah.
the art and how it's like it's almost design rather than drawings.
Yep. Like yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a
Yeah.
very different aesthetic, but a very similar aesthetic at the same time.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about next, buddy?
Well, what I want to talk about is a book I don't think you read. So
Let's do it.
Okay, well,
Let's
did you
do
read
it.
Spider-Man versus the Sinister 16?
I didn't. I put it back.
Okay.
I did not read it. So tell me why I messed up.
It continues J. Michael Straczynski's series of one-shots combining kind of two seemingly eclectic random characters in the Marvel universe into an issue, like Doctor Doom and Rocket Raccoon. This one, Django, mechanically, I don't know that it was the best constructed plot, but what it is Django. Spider-Man wants to go on a date with Mary Jane. These are kind of outside of strict continuity. They are going to go to a fancy dinner. They were like, Peter was like, I'm going to surprise you with this nice dinner. We were at this place that you can only get in if you make reservations like 2 years in advance, like crazy, crazy fancy. And she's like, did you make a reservation under the name Tony Stark? And he's like, well, no. Well, Tony Stark had a reservation here. And then I asked if I could have it and he dipped out. So under the guise of Tony Stark, they go to this dinner. But what's happening is it's one of those crazy, like that movie, The Menu, where like those guys go to that island and there's that fancy course meal. It's a little bit like that type of restaurant, but they show up and they're like, okay, cool. We get a date night together. And over the next like hour, a whole bunch of other people from the Marvel universe start showing up, like villains and good guys. So like Thor and She-Hulk are there on a date and that's kind of hilarious. And Doctor Strange, but also like Venom, Medusa, all these folks. And what we learn is that the chef, who's this incredibly fancy chef, his restaurant is like way behind on all of its taxes and bills and stuff. So what he did is he cleared the schedule and made all the people who had reservations be heroes and villains so that inevitably when they fight and ruin his restaurant, he'll be able to get the insurance money for it and then run away.
That's awesome.
And so dumb.
Yeah.
So the whole issue is this, dumb date night of like, are they going to have a big fight and destroy everything? And it's got a great ending. And I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. But if that's the kind of dumb human superhero antics that you like in your Marvel and DC, kind of slice of life, almost romancy stuff, this one has it in spades. And I gave Spider-Man versus the Sinister 16 an 8.5.
Nice.
That's it. All right, Django, now you do one.
Oh my God, 8.5. All right. Got it. Got my, okay. Jeff.
What do you got, Foxy?
I didn't bring this comic home.
Oh, no.
Until I went into the store.
Oh, no.
And I saw the creator.
Oh, okay.
Did you read this?
I
Savage
did.
Wolverine #1.
So,
yeah, go tell us about this.
Full transparency. I got a text from Ashton the week before this was on FOC, and he was like, hey, buddy, just want to let you know that upcoming Savage Wolverine book is by the guy that did Kill 6 Billion Demons. And I was like, wow, well, that's a huge internet comic. We've sold a ton of those volumes. I believe he does the writing and the art in that comic. So I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm going to do a little bit more auto subbing on this than I normally would do. And I'm going to get some extra shelf copies for it. And I think that maybe it's just written by that guy. And it has two artists on it that I was not familiar with. And I'm not familiar with the name of the guy who does Kill 6 Billion Demons. But I think
writer is
probably
Tom Bloom.
Yeah.
And the artists are Devmalia Pramanik and Guillermo Sana.
So Kill 6 Billion Demons is written and illustrated by Tom Bloom. So
Okay.
he wrote this issue, and then 2 other gentlemen do the art in it. So
that
as I
explains a lot.
as I was reading through this, I was like, huh, none of this art is blowing my hair back too much. Yeah. So anyway, miscommunication on my part. So then that was my leading up to it. What do you think?
I grabbed it because of the sign we had in the store
What's the
talking
sign
about
say?
6 Billion Demons.
Okay.
I don't know if it says written and drawn, but yeah, associating it with 6 Billion Demons. And I thought it was pretty good. I was surprised at what the art was because it didn't look like I imagined 6 Billion Demons, but I've never read that. I've only seen the cover. I don't know if I even flipped through it. So that didn't click for me. That said, I like the art in here. It's a lot of body horror. Like Wolverine shows up in a small town, and the small town has like not much going on for it, but the radio station has like a talk radio Joe Rogan kind of guy who has injected everybody in the town to quote unquote inoculate them against being mutants, and really it just turns them into monsters. So there's some top tier body grossness in there that I really appreciated. Yeah, just like squishy bodies and blisters and warts and
If you're
heads
curious
growing out of the
about
back of heads.
what gets Django's blood flowing, it's
Oh, yeah.
pussy blisters and heads and heads.
Yep, heads and heads is one of my least favorite things. Like it grosses
you
me
like
out.
it.
I like it, but it grosses me out. And I thought some of the art like had sort of Phil Hester, John McCrae vibes, and I'm a big fan of both of those guys. So even when it kind of went from the slightly more detailed to sort of simplified art, I enjoyed all of it. I don't know that I need to read the next issue if there is another issue, but I thought it was a pretty dang good comic.
As I understand it, it's kind of like a Wolverine road trip book. So I think each issue is kind of a different stop on this. And I don't know if there's an overarching thing lacing it together. I mirror your opinions on the art. It didn't impress me given what my expectation for it was, because I have flipped through Kill 6 Billion Demons, and that art reminds me a lot of like that artist who does variant comics for DC and like Transformers. That's like Brithyaki, or like a really interesting name that's highly detailed, almost like Jeff Darrow, but not quite as
okay. So you were looking for that.
Yeah, and this is very different than that. This is almost more like something you'd see in like a Declan Shalvey drawn book. No, written book.
like we talked about at the top of this episode, this is the no but episode.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say no, Jeff, it's not a series, but it is a one shot. It looks like.
Is it just a one shot?
There's no series code for it, and we don't have a second issue solicited. So
all right,
pretty solid one shot though.
Take it all back. Yeah, pretty
stick
solid.
That at the end of a four issue trade paperback, and people will dig it.
Yeah, that's probably how something like this is preserved, right?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. I like that Marvel is getting people from the like webcomic world into the mainstream comic world. I think that's a great kind of important bridge right now in comics, because so many really popular webcomics move a lot in our store. So that's a good call on their part. And I would love to see him do art in a Marvel comic one of these days.
Yeah.
I believe that cover art is him.
Okay. I like the cover too. Just like the first people that Wolverine encounters, like things start coming out of him, and it's like long tentacles, but they're all made out of hands and fingers. And I thought, like, I haven't really seen a lot of hand and finger tentacles before like that. It's pretty cool.
We got some good ones with Reed Richards.
Oh, yeah.
In our favorite Ryan North comic, who
I'm gonna give it
the sweetest man.
Oh, he is sweet. I'm going to give it a 7.5. Real solid.
I like that. I'm going to give it an 8.
An 8? Very well.
Django,
very well, Jeffrey.
You're a guy that I would associate more as a DC man than a Marvel man.
I don't think you would be wrong to associate me as such.
Okay. Well, there was kind of a prominent DC one-shot that came out this week. I'm curious if you read the Justice League Dark Tomorrow special.
You know what?
What?
I did.
Yeah, you did.
Sure did, buddy.
It's got Booster Gold. It's yelling in a pleasureful ecstasy on the cover. Look at him. I did it.
Okay. What? It has Booster Gold. Also, Well, yeah, it's got, what is her name? Oh, the Gold Beetle.
Gold Beetle. Yeah.
But also it has Wave Rider
Yeah.
in what I would consider a less than costume. I really like his old costume where he's just like a black void with a rainbow, like rainbow trail behind him, and he's just surfing through time like a doofus.
Okay.
And then I can't remember. So Hank Hall. Oh, he's Hawk.
Yeah.
Right. Hank Hall is in here. So like right out of the gate, it's echoes of Zero Hour, which I know I don't think you've read 0 Hour.
Well, I was going to say, I don't think it would surprise you to know that many of the characters in this issue exist in the void space of my comic book reading history.
The void space. I like that.
Not to be confused with the Marvel void space.
Right. But yeah, and we have a nice little mystery set up like this. I don't think that the progression of this series is going to knock anybody's socks off, because it seems like a pretty standard superhero team versus End of Time kind of thing. Although it is Mark Guggenheim writing it, who's
and the Wade.
I think is pretty good. Oh yeah, it's Guggenheim and Wade with Cian Tormey on art. They do set up a nice little mystery about who this other character is, this new person who I can't remember the name of here.
I think they did a good job of kind of pulling a 0 Hour-esque thing with like the mysterious bad guy that we don't know who it is, or good guy, that I like that. It's a compelling way to make people care a little bit more about this story, where I think it exists in that kind of gray zone of DC Comics where it's like just kind of classic DC enough that it's not the mainstream characters and it might fall through the cracks sometimes.
Yeah, it's definitely got some like Armageddon 2001 sort of vibes too.
Yeah.
Which might even be where that Hawk costume is from, where when he turns into the extant.
Okay, well,
but yeah.
Question for you.
Yeah.
The plot of this is pretty heavily rooted in what has just happened with Batman, Superman, World's Finest, and Justice League Unlimited. And I don't think you've been reading those.
No, so at the end, near the end of this issue, I thought, oh, there's crossovers to this that I haven't read. Like, I would be surprised if there's not a whole scene of some of this stuff that we just see start and end over the course of a couple of panels. You like that? I got you a motorcycle. I don't know if you can hear it out there.
I can. I love that.
Yeah, I got you a motorcycle mostly for the audio version of the episode.
No butts.
No butts.
No butts.
No butts.
Yeah, no butts. All cycles.
Thanks for coming by, guys.
So, yeah, what has happened leading up to this was the like time falling apart and a whole bunch of time displaced hero. Whoa, a lot of time displacement. All these time displaced heroes are sort of in our moment of the DC universe, and I imagine there's a lot of ours who are dispersed through other moments of time. So that's why you can have a strange collection of characters like this, like Batman and Batman Beyond and Gold Beetle, who is like the granddaughter of Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. Maybe those
Jonah
Hex finally get together.
Marilyn Moonlight or Marilyn Moonlight.
Yep, we do. Oh, yeah. I'm so glad that in this world where like Bendis, didn't leave quite the mark that we would wish that he did, we get his character, Marilyn Moon Knight.
She is so cool looking.
She's so awesome. And he never like fully explained who this character is. So he just planted a seed. And I like that other people are running with it because she's awesome.
And like apparently there's 2 Plastic Mans in the DC universe right now, and one of them likes to turn into a Terminator.
Yeah, I sent that picture to Roman.
Yeah.
It's like a Gundam.
I get it.
Or like a kaiju slaying
your little Gundam thing.
I love Gundam models. So yeah, anyway, I enjoyed this. I've just kind of really liked this Wade narrative going in DC right now, where he's doing a kind of large spread of books that are all sort of moving a singular narrative forward, while also the DC universe has a bunch of other big stories going on, including like the Absolute Universe stuff. So I think it's very cool to have more than one kind of larger continuity story going on at any given time. And this, yeah, it's Wade. It feels like 2000s, like early 2000s superhero comics, like DC
Like
Comics, and I love that.
2001,
A Space
Armageddon
Odyssey.
2001,
Oh, okay.
Armageddon 2001: A Space Odyssey.
The Obelisk and Extant. Yeah, we've got like the current Plastic Man and an older Plastic Man are both here right now. So
What do you give it?
Oh, Django. I gave it an 8.5.
Wow.
Maybe more of an 8. Maybe more of an 8. I'm going to talk it down to an 8.
An 8. So
but I enjoyed it.
I think the way you and I read comics is super different.
You're just cracking that code now?
No, you're right. 100% the way you and I read comics is totally different. And I think that I am more, not even more. I think you and I get something different out of a comic when we jump into the middle of a story without the context.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I probably am more oblivious confused by it, and you are more consciously missing something from it, like missing that context. I'm going to give this a 7. I could be talked up to an 8 if they had left Wave Rider's costume. That's my biggest complaint in this book, is that character design is so rad, and this character design is just not. So sorry, Shan.
I think my biggest complaint is on the cover, you can totally see Booster Gold coming, and I don't think he's even in the issue.
No, but he's okay. So I guess the question is,
but he created children.
He created children. He's also the guy who hangs out at the end of time, whatever that's called, the
vanishing point.
Vanishing point. And he's also, I mean, probably the dude behind the mask who is supposed to be a mystery, right? Like it's got to be him, or like Superboy maybe, or it's gonna, hopefully that cover's not a spoiler.
Yeah. No.
So listen, a little production note here.
Please do.
You got to choose the next comic, because I can't multitask that much.
Well, we had a shortage thing happen with DC Comics 2 weeks ago, so our Absolute Martian Manhunter #5 came in this week for us. So again, I got to hang out at the campground and all in one session and read Absolute Martian Manhunter #5. Just worth mentioning here. I love this writer and this artist and this comic. And this is an absolute book. It's #5. What I thought was interesting about this is it was, as far as I know, the kind of closest that an absolute book has gotten to kind of discussing the origin of that planet and the effect Darkseid creating it after the All-In special, like what effect that has had on this place. Like it's alluded to other places, but we actually see Darkseid in this. So I liked that. That's actually, there's this gorgeous full single splash page of him with all these kind of Absolute Martian Manhunter-y colory things going on. I love how Dennis Camp has consistently kind of had the Martian exploring ideas on this Earth as he's learning things, and the way he does it is this sort of mechanical, analytical, like instead of saying a feeling, he like kind of says 5 words that are synonyms or orbit that idea. Like it feels very alien in a wonderful way. The CMYK throughout all of this is amazing. I had the feeling in this where like Dennis Camp, I wonder how much of this is stuff that he is telling Javier Rodriguez to do, or how much of that Javier is bringing to it. But like just his books are so unique in their vision and execution, which is what makes Grant Morrison or Jonathan Hickman, favorite writers of mine. Like nobody quite does it the same as them. And Dennis Camp is doing that as well. And this comic, just down to the fact that like at the end of the last issue, light was all taken away. So this whole issue takes place in like nighttime, which is what it is all the time. But the way that everything is kind of cast in an orange light, and shadows are very important to this, not just artistically, but to the story itself. And then there's terrible things like people crushing up glass and baking them in burgers to feed people. And there's fireflies. And it just made me think like, wow, we are really getting this, like we are seeing into this creator's brain. Like they're doing such a great job of kind of taking hard ethereal ideas that
Mhm.
haven't been super explained in comics in my mind and pulling it into stories for us to check out. So that's really, really cool.
And just like the way the shadows are playing with things here, the way the colors, like you mentioned, but just like the panel of the Martian Manhunter with all the fireflies
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, the Firefly pages were.
the paneling in this is spectacular. Like there's some really crazy cartoony stuff, like the chase scene that looks like Dick Tracy or
Yeah.
the Spirit, Will Eisner kind of stuff. And yeah, there's nothing on the stands that looks like this. Even the other stuff that Rodriguez has done lately, like the Zatanna, which I think won an Eisner, right?
It did.
Yeah, like that was a gorgeous comic. That was a really interesting to look at comic. And this one just kind of blows it out of the water.
I mean, in his Marvel, History of the Marvel Universe book that you did with Wade a couple of years ago as well, had paneling kind of like this, but not, it was more just like beautiful, innovative ways of doing paneling. Whereas this is like, there's a narrative thrust to the uniqueness of a lot of the paneling.
Yeah.
Which, it's just incredible to me.
Yeah. So much weird trickery. There's like this panel with just a white dot over a person's head.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Amazing. Gosh, Jeff, that's a 10 from me.
All right, I'll go Gooey Duck as well.
Nice. Where's Roman?
I was maybe going to do 9.5, but yeah, let's give it the Gooey Duck.
When Roman's here, we're allowed to use the image, but when Roman's not here, no exactly. Gooey Duck image for you people.
So Django.
Yeah.
Just to reiterate, Ask Cry-Eve number 5 and Abs Marman number 5 both came out this week. We both gave both of those issues 10s. The last week that Abs Marman and Ask Cry-Eve came out together, they both got 10s.
Of course.
This guy is,
and
it's crazy, dude.
He's killing it, and he's got like a dozen or 2 comics out, and he's working with these amazing artists.
And
it like this week is like the week of Dennis Camp I guess for us, because our week is 3 weeks long, but like Dennis Camp and Christopher Cantwell, who did the last issue of Out of Alcatraz number 5, which also awesome. Like, I want more of this story. I want more of these characters. Like, those guys are.
Did you just say Dennis Camp was on Out of Alcatraz?
No, Christopher Cantwell.
Oh, okay.
Who wrote the other book you were talking about? The News from the Fallout.
Yeah.
Like,
Cross Condon, but yeah.
What's with all these C names? C names. All right. Just pretend I didn't say all that stuff.
Well, no, but I mean, Chris Condon, Chris Cantwell, similar types of things. Django, we could talk a lot more about comics, but I think we got to talk about our favorite people in the comic book, writing art sphere that we got to check in with at San Diego Comic-Con. And then I think we got to get some quick feelings about the Fantastic Four movie. So spoilers for all the things we've been doing, retroactive spoilers for the comics we've talked about, but also tread very warily. If you haven't seen Fantastic Four, we are going to be talking about that movie for a brief bit here in just a couple minutes. So maybe dip out if you are worried about that.
Favorite people we saw
outside of like retailers and friends that we met and stuff, in terms of like writers and artists, I think that the two that surprised me the most and that I was really excited and happy to have talked to was Ryan North, who was so friendly and treated us very well and humbly. And, I would have expected somebody who's writing this amazing Fantastic Four run right now to be a little bit more big in the pants than he was willing to be.
Yeah. He was super humble and stoked that we liked his book, and we probably talked to him for about 4 minutes longer than any of us was comfortable with.
Yep.
But how do you disengage from a guy that is like humbly accepting your gushing like that?
Oh, my anxiety and awkwardness allows me to find ways to disengage no matter how.
Yeah, you did that.
Yep,
you did that. And then I was just still in line with him.
Yep.
Giving him virtual mouth hugs.
Yep.
There's a different word for that. I don't know what
kissing.
It is. Kissing. Giving him kissing. I was giving him kissing.
Giving him kissies. And then the other one that surprised me very much was Matt Fraction.
Yeah, so we were just hanging out, taking a break in the middle of the at the end of the day on Sunday, just sitting by the poolside bar at the Marriott, which sounds way fancier than it probably is, but medium fun and fancy. And
Yeah.
we were just talking about, I don't know, we were like discussing store puzzles and retailer woes. And Jeff was like, I think that's Matt Fraction over there.
I texted Django. I was like, I'm pretty sure that like 6 feet away from us is Matt Fraction. Is that Matt Fraction? And Django was like, I don't know.
And I don't know
And
what
I
these
was
people
like,
look like.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's him. And Django didn't do anything, and I didn't do anything. But at that point, I realized I needed to get a poster tube to be able to get a bunch of posters back home with us. So I had to run into the convention before it closed on the final day. So as I got up and was getting my stuff together, I just went over to Matt and I was like, 85% sure it was Matt at that point. And I was like, hey man, like we're really pumped about your Batman run. Like I'm excited to read that. And he was like, oh really? Like, thank you. And he was just very like, okay, these guys have been sitting there for 15 minutes and none of them were like super anxious about awkwardly getting my autograph or anything. So I think we passed some test there or something. But yeah, he gave us a couple of the ash cans and it was very smooth. He was like good about making them out to our store and to me, because I think comic creators really hate signing things for them to get sold on eBay. And I think if you can say like to Jeff or to the comics place, it discourages.
Now these are treasures.
Yeah, which that's not my jam anyway. But anyway, then I continued my thing and ran in, and Django.
He like, we just kind of struck up a conversation and talked to him for a solid half hour. And most of the way, like partway through that, Scott Snyder walked up and started hanging out and talking. And it was just like, it was really cool. Like Matt gave us tips on what to do for the convention we're working on. He's like, oh yeah, just have an after party at your store for the creators that you bring in and some of your key volunteers. And it's like, this is a guy who's done a lot of those things. And to get that perspective on it was super cool. And it's just really nice.
Scott Snyder showed up and I was like, and they were like, I don't know who this other guy is with him. And I was like, that's Nick Dragata.
Yeah.
So it was Nick Dragata, Scott Snyder, and Matt Fraction all just hanging out with us at, next to the bar. If it does sound kind of fancy for the poolside bar at the Marriott, it kind of is, because I think that's where the convention puts up a lot of the creators and, publishers and distributors that go to the con. Yeah. So it's the pool area there. So there's just always publishers, distributors, and creators having meetings out there. Like you can't go 20 feet without seeing someone
unless you know those people. It's just three dudes sitting there chatting. Like and so like it's a weird part of comics. One thing that Matt was talking about was how like when they bring him in because he's a TV writer, he gets a totally different treatment from the convention. Like they stick him in a golf cart and take him through underground tunnels and into an elevator that opens up a wall, and he steps right out into his panel. And then after the panel, he steps back into the wall and gets whisked away back to his hotel room. And when he's there as a comic creator, it's like, oh yeah, you got to wait in line and get a ticket. Mm-hmm. It's just such a, like, somehow comic celebrity hasn't hit the point for most creators where you're treated with a ton of security. Well, that said, sometimes they are.
Yeah. It's one of those things where like we've talked about it, but like the comics industry is still small enough that like I love that you can go to conventions and you can get to the people who make the thing that you love. And whether it's like comedy or music or movies or whatever, it's way harder to get in contact and interact with the people who create the art that means, a lot to you. And I love that comics, part of the genetics of this medium are like comic conventions, dating way back. And all of it is kind of facilitating interacting with other people who care about it, like yourself, and the people who create it. So that is so cool.
Yeah.
Shout out comics.
For sure.
Before we get out of here, Fantastic Four, Django, I need to get a quick, Superman or Fantastic Four from you.
Oh, I don't know if that's fair.
Okay. Fine.
Listen, the people who are listening at home missed the thing that I whipped together after the beginning of this podcast.
I
knew that would happen, didn't you?
When I said that, I kind of had a feeling you would do it.
Little visual gag here. I can't choose, man. I really liked Superman, even though I don't remember it very well. I need to go see it again. I really like the Fantastic Four also. Like the spoilers, yo.
Please, spoilers. Yeah.
The retro future vibe of the Fantastic Four movie, like the fact that they have old school TVs, but they're flat screens. It's modern day, but it looks like the idealized version of 1962 or 1964. I really like that. And I thought that the Galactus stuff was really fun. There's something special that happens when you have a movie or TV show, or really any media outside of comics, where you can show something as ridiculous as what we get in comic books and have you just be like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like Galactus's foot being a city block long. That's bullshit. And that would be stupid unless you were in this movie and they had like made you believe it before he shows up. You're just like, oh yeah, that's totally Galactus's foot size. No big deal.
Well, it is Galactus's foot size, Django.
Yeah, but if they did that in the wrong movie, you'd be like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
There's that technically his heart could never pump his blood high enough to reach his brain.
Yeah. There's something to like the modern era of Marvel movies. Like before that, comic book attempts at movies and cinema or TV always seem to be at odds with the goofy ridiculousness that comics are. So they try to make it real or grittier to apply it to film or something. But it's like, no, we're here because we love the leotards and the crazy, powers and the dumb. Like that's what we're here for. The giant purple and blue. That's so for me. Like getting to see Galactus that big and dumb as a real person on a screen was like, it righted that wrong of 9-year-old Jeff going to see the other one with the Cloud Fantastic guy.
Which, to be fair, I really liked the Cloud guy. And it might just be like my soft spot for the Warren Ellis version of that.
Django, our good friend West Coast Dave, did mention it would be great to see Galactus in the wrong movie like Barbie or Oppenheimer. And what if when the nuclear bomb had been tested? I know you're a big fan of Twin Peaks season 3, like I am. So it's kind of like breaks the idea of the nuclear bomb being tested and detonated, opened up room and reality for the evil to come in. But I love the idea of Galactus ending up other places.
Yeah.
The main complaint I've heard from people is that Reed Richards doesn't use his powers enough, which I don't know if it's like the main complaint, but I would say if I could change something, I would love to see more of his powers, but like I've always, his intellect is so much of his power, and I don't feel like because we didn't get it in this one, we won't get it in others. And, all of these movies are, I'm not upset about any of it, but yeah, I'm going to go Fantastic Four on this one. Even though I did like Superman a lot as well, but Fantastic Four, there's nothing I didn't love about it. I don't think like it just, the casting was great. The world was great. I love all the actors and actresses in there. The sci-fi elements, the fact that like Silver Surfer is on a surfboard. And I never even thought, like, it had never occurred to me. It's kind of dumb that Silver Surfer's on a surfboard. Why is he on a surfboard? I've never thought that. But while I was watching this movie, she was Silver Surfing around in, FTL space and like bending reality around. And I was like, oh, that is like the smoothest, most elegant way to be moving that quickly through this crazy time and space. I love when a thing can make you realize good ideas that are dumb ideas. Also, it was just awesome.
Yeah, I really liked that, and I liked. I mean, this is a pretty deep spoiler, but I really like the Thing's beard.
Yeah,
that was awesome. It looked so stupid, and it was like distractingly bad, like Johnny's mustache in the
That's
recent
what it made me
series.
think of. Yeah,
but I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Like,
I did
yeah.
too, especially the scene where you got like the power went out halfway through shaving and the way that they did. Yeah, that was just a dumb, probably has been in comics, but I don't really remember seeing it. So yeah, I
Yeah.
really dug that.
I was a little
Um,
surprised that we didn't get any entrance of the rest of the universe until like kind of the post credits,
like the Doom.
the Doom thing, but even that could be anything, right?
Yeah,
Like it doesn't have to be the same Doom that we're going to see in the next whatever, like,
right.
because the last movie was it was the Thunderbolts. We got the Fantastic Four ship entering
Yeah,
the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
and this didn't seem to lead up to that or anything.
Yeah, which fine.
Yeah.
And also, like, yeah, who am I to pick apart a movie that I didn't think was anything but great?
I do
Shut up,
think
Django.
I do think somebody needs to talk to Marvel about what they're doing with their post-credit scenes. I think if you're gonna have 2 or 3 of them, you should kind of try to go back to like the last one meaning something. But I think that they've leaned the other way, which is like, all right, we made the final one kind of a throwaway, since
Right.
not everyone stays there. But anyway, yeah, I would love. It seemed like in the first half of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, those post-credit scenes meant more.
There was one that I stayed for, and it was just somebody breathing at the end, just like a bad guy panting through a microphone.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So very, very high scores from me for the Fantastic Four movie. At least an 8.5. Maybe a 9.
I'll say at least an 8.5, maybe a 9.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Superman,
Yeah.
also great. I wonder if they like drew straws to see who had to release the first one, you know?
Yeah, those guys
DC
probably
and
collude
Marvel.
like that.
Yeah. You know, because like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember who put their stake in the mud first, but
yeah. Well, mud stakes. Hey, everybody, thanks for hanging out with us. Hopefully we'll have Roman back next week. He had some obligations. Rome Doggy, the Rome Pup millionaire, the legend.
not ringing a bell.
The
the Gooey Duck guy.
Yeah, the
Okay,
long,
strong
dong of the law. Exactly.
Okay, yeah, I remember
the
that
Rome
guy.
Dong. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So thank you for hanging out with us. If you're watching live, you're checking it out on YouTube, or if you're listening to the podcast, we're coming up. I think next one's 400. Thanks for listening to us talk about San Diego Comic-Con. Thank you to anybody who takes in this podcast that saw us at San Diego Comic-Con. There was such a long list of like really wonderful people. And yeah, I think this San Diego for me was more human being connections with people than like a lot of like business connections, which is good. But thanks for that. Thanks to Will for writing an email, and thank you for everybody in the chat who's been dipping in. Somebody is very sad about no Roman, and I couldn't agree more.
Can I make a request?
Yeah.
Next episode's number 400.
Yeah.
I'd love to do a big section of Q&A with people. Like,
me too.
Email Jeff@thecomicsplace.com with questions that we can answer, or show up for the live show, whatever mechanism you can imagine. Get us some questions, because 400 episodes is a lot of episodes, and we've been doing this to get it celebrated.
Feastro. I love Feastro. I love Feastro. Yes, please do. If you're seeing this, encountering this, hearing it, get us questions, whether it's email, in the chat, or whatever. But yeah, we've been doing this for like a decade. We want to celebrate 400 in style. I might even have a beer.
We'll give you a little hint of the kind of questions we're going to get. West Coast Dave wants to know, is Turok the greatest comic?
Turok 1.
Yes. Greatest comic cover. Greatest comic. It's greatest everything.
Great foil embossing.
That's Bart Sears. That's Bart freaking Sears. I liked it better when we could swear freely before we were on YouTube. That's Bart effing Sears.
That's true. That's Bart. I want to shake your hand.
I want to shake your Bart Sears.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thanks for hanging out. Shout out all the wonderful people. Thanks, San Diego. Thanks, Pedro Pascal. We love you.
Pedro.
Jeff@thecomicsplace.com.
Rob Scafidio. Jeff@thecomicsplace.com. Comics Place.
Mike and Marcel.
How do I end this?
Jin King.
Oh my God.
You just stop.
You just end.
You just stop.
Oh,
you just go.
Okay, but then there's another button to click. Set the outro video. I don't know this program yet, buddy.
Lit up this cigarette yet.
You can't do that on the live.